following AOR live stream is brought to you by the following sponsors: Elgato Gaming, Hype Energy Drinks, Thrustmaster and GT Omega Racing. Make sure to check them out at a later date. Hello and welcome back to Apex Online Racing's YouTube channel for your Sunday night's worth of entertainment here from the F1 leagues with Hype Energy. It's season 17, round number 6. We're at the Hockenheim Ring in Germany. You know, my name is Andy. It's not Ali Moda and Ali K, unfortunately, here tonight. Ali's dropped out to concentrate on things. Wish him all the best. And Ali Moda's stuck in traffic at Thruxton. Haven't gone to the touring curve, so it's myself. And joining me in the box is my F2 commentating partner in crime, it's Ollie. How are you doing, Ollie?
I'm very good. I've made the promotion. I've got a slight nosebleed. I've never been this high in my life, and I'm looking forward to what's probably going to be an exciting German Grand Prix. 19 drivers have turned out, 16 corners of great intense action. For me, this is one of them tracks that is just non-stop, constant battling, and that's what we like to see.
Absolutely, definitely so. And I mean, for us last season when we were doing F2, which is our usual home, we seen a really good race last season for us in F2. Ruben, who's actually here in F1 now, took the victory there on the alternate strategy, ran long in the first stint and went onto the soft tyres at the end of the race. So could he maybe pull something here in F1? You never know. We'll run you through the championship standings very shortly, but a few drivers starting to head out on the pit lane now, and it is Flying Finn who's the first one out on track in the Toro Rosso, so he's going to be the first one to settle up. 19 drivers here tonight, Ollie, so we should be in for some really good action here.
Yeah, it's always good to have a good turnout. You know, sometimes drivers can chop and change with a shortened calendar. It's much more intense. Every single race, every point matters. So picking up 25 points could be crucial, especially for Dominic and Lucas, who are first and second currently in the championship with just 13 points separating them. A win for one of them could really change the tide in this championship battle. A few guys to keep an eye out. We've had some drivers who have yet to score points. We've got the likes of Alex, Demon, Keitsky haven't picked up points. So they're the kind of guys you want to keep a close eye on. They can definitely maybe get something on the board to pick up their first points of the season. But other than that, it should be a very tight race. And with a short lap as well, every corner could be vital. So the slightest mistake can affect their laps and lose them a few important tenths.
Definitely so. We're going to jump on board with Flying Finn as he comes through the final corner just now. We'll take you on a hot lap off the Hockenheim Ring up to turn number 1. No downshift, running very wide, snap of oversteer on the exit, catching the curb, and then down towards turn number 2, using the curb on the left hand side for braking reference. A little lock up, caught the apex nicely through turn 3 and then on to this long curve, the Parabolica curve. No issues through here, completely flat out, DRS wide open, 200 plus miles an hour. Finn leaving it in at 7th gear as he finds his braking zone for the tight turn 6 at the top of the hill at the back end of the track. A little bit sideways on the exit as he gets on the power, heading up to this flat out right hand kink as we head towards the Mercedes grandstand. Look for the braking zone, use a little bit of the extra track runoff down to 2nd gear, up to 3rd quickly, and then throw it back to the right, completely committed through there in 6th gear, and then up towards the stadium section, chuck it in, down a gear, and then back up quickly, use the runoff into the stacks curve at the end of the lap, cambers in slightly, a little bit of a correction on the way through the quick little left-right chicane and into the final 2 corners. You've got to be patient through here or you can invalidate your lap very easily, and Finn's flying through there into 6th gear, up to the line. Will it be a lap time on the board? It was a 1:10.4, but he obviously invalidated it, quite possibly into turn number 1. But that is a lap off the Hockenheim Ring here in Germany. Have you muted your mic again, Ollie?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I purposely do it so I don't interrupt. But yes, I was about to say it looked like an okay lap, being obviously invalidated. But it's good to have a nice, just a nice marker to have. So when you're basing off your lap, just to get into the groove, get comfortable. As Lee Findlay goes to the top 1:10.6. I'm right on board with Jim Roy, who is normally a very competitive driver. Not had the greatest season this year so far. Not actually picked up a podium yet, which is very uncharacteristic for him. Normally a very competitive and quick guy. He's coming through the final section now, keeping it nice and tidy. We're starting to see a differentiation of tyres. So Lee Finley's on the ultra softs with Max Demon and Davidos all on the medium compound tyres. In fact, most guys are going for the mediums. It's a lot of a bracket between mediums and ultra softs. No one's gone for the in-between, so to speak. Across the line comes Roy, who is on the ultra softs, and imagine this would be a quick time if it wasn't for the fact it was invalidated. So a couple of drivers picking up invalidated laps early on. Brian Finn, Michael and Roy all invalidating their first laps.
Yeah, it's a shame that one there. It would have been a 1 minute 11 something, so it would have put him up around about second or third, along with Schnitzel, who is your championship leader. I'm going to run you through championship standings in the top 10. It is Schnitzel in the Renault who leads the championship on 96 points. 2 victories this season in the opening 2 rounds at Australia and Bahrain, and a couple of second places in China and in Britain. The only time he's not been on the podium was Austria, round number 4 of the season. It's the only time he's not stepped onto the podium at all. Second up in the championship is the McLaren driver Lucas, who's just coming out of pit lane there as I speak. He's on 83 points with 1 victory in China, but some very consistent results as well. Jarno, who is teammate to Schnitzel in the Renault, he's still in pit lane at the moment. He is in third place in the championship, 75 points with a win at Britain. And then it is Michael, who you were watching obviously there, Ollie, who is in sorry, it was Roy you were watching, sorry, Michael's Roy's teammate. He's in 4th and 50 points. Danny is in 5th place in 33. He took up a victory in Austria. Then you've got Roy in 6th place with 29 points, tied with Casper, someone that we know very well obviously from F2. He's up there on 29 points. Nico is on 27, another F2 promotion racer if I do remember correctly from last year. Then Lee Finley and Frosty round out the top 10 on 96 points. The top 4, Schnitzel, Lucas, Jarno and Michael, have taken every podium except for Austria, where it was Danny with P1 and Nico with P3. Apart from that, it's been those 4 on the podium every race so far.
Yeah, it's been a pretty competitive season compared to last year, where it kind of was a bit of a runaway for Roy, if I say so myself. He kind of took a path of his own and just slid off there and kind of dominated in the latter stages, even with late pushes from the likes of Lucas and his teammate. But I will mention that Schnitzel, formerly known as Dom, has had so many names. The likelihood is I will probably call him Dom at some point, even though he's changed his name. It will undoubtedly change probably in a month or two's time, but that will just be the matter of what happens in these things, the constant name changes being brought in by the PlayStation guys. It's confused quite a few people with the amount of name changes. Some guys have kept them as they are, and you can kind of differentiate, but there's a few drivers formerly known with previous names, but we'll do our best to just keep them in check, because the likes of Roy was the Eagle Killer, and obviously mentioned Schnitzel was Dom, so it changes quite a bit. So they're all going out there for the second runs. Most of the drivers have fitted the medium compound tyres. Only 2 at the moment have fitted non-medium compound tyres, and that would be Lucas in 18th place and Lee Findley, who's currently in the pits. He's sitting on a fresh set of the purple walled ultra soft compound tyres. Everybody else has gone onto the mediums. So interesting choice. There must be the better race tyre compared. Maybe it's just just setting in their bank of times. I would be surprised though, the amount of guys that haven't set times. Maybe the guys that have had lesser opportunities to score points and are less competitive are more likely to go onto the ultra softs. I'm looking at the likes of Demon, for example, who hasn't picked up points just yet. Keyski and Alex, who haven't done the same as well. So I'd imagine that there's a good chance that they might just go for the ultra softs on their flying lap later on in the session. But speaking of which, Max is the first guy to go onto the soft compound tyres in the pit, so we could see him coming out onto the yellow striped tyres very shortly.
Definitely so. Hugo's just put himself up into P3 with his latest lap time, 1.2 seconds down on those mediums. Danny put himself up into 4th place, but Davidos down to 5th. Max still, as you say, put the soft tyres on but not been out on them yet, so he's in 6th. Paris 7th, Demon 8th, Frosty in 9th, Ruben rounds out the top 10. They're the only drivers to have set a lap time so far, so we're still waiting on 9 drivers setting a lap time. 2 in pit lane, Michael on an out lap at the moment, so we'll see how they go. Quite a lot of traffic as well out there too. And when you mention the name changes and how you'll likely call him Dom at some point, I want to make a new rule, I think, for everything. You can't change your name during the season. It's going to make it a lot easier. I think that should be implemented, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, there should be a punishment if you do. If you do change your names, you lose some points. They'll keep them in check. I think we should all stick by the Cherry 2 Pie mantra, which is keeping the name, the iconic name, as long as possible, and then otherwise you'll have no confusion. I just want to quickly mention, Roy didn't win the championship. I don't know why I said that. I'm just a big fan of Roy. He didn't win the championship. Correction from me there. Obviously, me and Andy from F2, a few promoted drivers who we've kept a close eye on, one of which is Casper, who is
just
currently... Yeah, just gone fourth and done really, really well in doing so. He is currently 7th in the championship as well. I say one of us was a big fan of him, the other was just a mediocre fan. But showing some great pace at the moment, up in P4, a driver definitely to watch with great pace. The defending champion Sean as well, not really hit the ground running as he would have liked, but still competitive drivers from Lee Findlay as well, who's currently on pole. The former F2 driver is doing us proud.
Definitely. So Sean's not here tonight. He's just messaged something which, considering this is a family show, I won't mention. But you can't do that while you're driving. Let's just leave it at that much. But yeah, Casper doing pretty well. Lee Finlay at the top. F2 promotions drivers from last season. Danny has managed to get himself up into second now. So he's now got within a second just of Lee Finlay, and him and his teammate there, that is the other Mercedes of Nicholas Matteo. And they two drafting each other on the way up towards the turn 6 hairpin. So the Mercedes boys are working in unison here, using the draft up through the Parabolica to try and help them along, see if they can get themselves into the top 10 on the medium compound tyres. Just noticing as well, Dawidos still out on track at the moment. 6 laps he's done on those tyres. Schnitzel's done 5 as Flying Finn puts himself up into 3rd place. Hugo just moved himself up into 5th as well. So it's all changed with 7.5 minutes to go, and still 3 drivers we're waiting on to set a lap time. Still waiting on Roy, who's got a bit of traffic, and his teammate ahead of him though. So it looks like the Williams boys are using each other to assist down out towards turn 6 as well. And you can see the Salba staying out of the way there. That is Hugo, I do believe. So Roy's on his lap at the moment, just got a little bit of assist on the way through. Kiski's back into pit lane. 3 laps in the medium tyres, not a single lap time on the board as Lucas finally gets himself on the board there, just over a second down. But it's taken him a couple of laps before he's been able to do that for the 2nd place in the championship driver in the McLaren. But still Lee Finlay at the top, the only driver so far to have done a lap though on the ultra soft tyres, and everyone else has set them on mediums so far.
Yeah, an interesting take there. I'm surprised nobody else has risked it on the ultra soft tyres. I think we might see a few of them. I definitely think the guys outside, I'd say 14th below. I think if you're Demon Davidos, who are currently 11th and 12th, that's a great place to be with fresh sets of tyres. But the further down you go, the fresh tyres are less effective because you still have to overtake. So there'll be a lot of degradation still within them. So I'd imagine the lower guys are going to be going onto the ultra softs to push it. Maybe some guys are holding back. Not too sure. Schnitzel is on an outlap onto the ultra soft tyres. So that could be a lap that could definitely damage Lee Findlay's current provisional pole position. So we'll keep a close eye on what he's able to do. Out on track on the soft compound tyres is Max. He'll hopefully be the first guy to set on the yellow striped soft compound tyres. In the pit lane on the softs is Nicholas, Alex and Demon as well, going on the alternate strategy compared to everyone. Just under 6 minutes to go. Things are slowly starting to heat up here in Germany. Round 6 of AOR's PS4 F1 season. I'm running on board with Max, who's flying on the soft compound tyres, getting very, very close to the walls. It's just heating up now. He's looking like this could be a good lap for him. I wouldn't be too surprised if he can break into the top 8, maybe a little bit higher.
He's just backed out here too, because I followed him.
Yeah, it's a shame, but I think he might just be ramping up. So he might have a system in place where it takes an extra lap or so just to heat it up. We'll see what he's able to do. In fact, no, that was his out lap. Oh no, it wasn't. Yeah, so hopefully for his sake, he can get back in, maybe onto a set of the ultra softs or mediums, because it looks like he might have some pace compared to what he's showing at the moment.
Definitely. So Schnitzel went out on the ultra soft, straight back into pit lane. Davidos is finally back into pit lane after 7 laps. So Max is now, apart from Finn, who's just left the pit lane on an outlap, the only driver out on track, and he's not really using the battery. He's throwing the car from side to side, trying to get heat into those tyres. Ultra soft, soft and mediums on hand, and I'm sure we're expecting the predominant race strategy to be the soft to medium or medium to soft. Anyone going for ultra softs will need to pit quite early. They do eat them up very quick around here at the Hockenheim Ring. And as I mentioned earlier, we did see Ruben, who's currently in 10th place, do the alternate strategy of mediums to soft last season and pick up his one and only race victory in F2 in season Season 16, so it is possible to do, because if I remember rightly, he'd done that from well outside the top 10 as well, in what was a pretty crazy race, and Hockenheim is usually very good for giving us some crazy scenarios through the seasons. And just following Max at the moment, who's heading to the line, so he's about to ramp up, so we'll just follow him round the track at the moment with 4 minutes to go. Expect to see most of the drivers starting to head back out onto track at a moment. While we watch Max just quickly going round, I'll just quickly mention to you the Constructors' Championship as well, because I've not done that yet. Renault are well out in front thanks to Schnitzel and Jarno's points, 171 points. McLaren in second on 83, Williams up third on 79, then it's Mercedes on 60, Haas on 55 with the two F2 boys, Lee Finlay and Casper, Salba on 32, Ferrari 13, Toro Rosso 9, Red Bull only on 2, and Force India with Max Till's team and Kiski have only scored 1 point so far this season.
Yeah, every single driver is now out on these soft compound tyres, or is sitting in the pits on a set of the soft compound tyres. So realistically, what we've seen from qualifying, I'm not expecting this to remain the way it was. The only person who might be struggling to improve is Lee Findlay, who sets home on the ultra soft tyres, unless he's got some pace still in the bag. So if you are watching along live, please do tell us who you think is going to get pole position. Any one of them drivers can get it. Obviously, there's a few in there you'd say they've got a better chance than others. Lucas, Schnitzel, Roy, for example, Michael as well. So one of them would be the favourites. But anyone can realistically still put their name into that hat and come away with pole position as the times start to come in. I mentioned Max, showing some serious pace. He's gone up into third. Is it a bit too early from him, though? He's going to be the first one to retire from the session. Feels like it might be a little bit too early, especially with the time he set. Oh,
sorry, just caught that there. He's retired on track, Max, and Nicholas Mateos came up behind him. The car's not ghosted, and Nicholas is out of qualifying, having ran into the back of the Force India. Now, I get the feeling Max will get a bit of a punishment for that, because he's retired on track and not in pit lane, and the fact that he's now cost another driver the chance to improve is not good at all. We caught that on stream in absolute full, because we'd been following Max's lap, and that's put Nicholas Mateo out of qualifying, and I get the feeling Max will be getting a slap in the wrist for that one afterwards. Oh dear.
Yeah, not good from him. I was riding on board with him just to see what it was like, and then just see front wing flying from the front, so luckily he got the better angle. I'm on board with Michael, who's getting a little bit of traffic from Lee Findlay going into turns 3. Here comes Roy, who's going to return the favour that was done for him earlier on. I get the impression, though, that once he goes by, Roy will stick with him, and then they'll go again. Great teamwork from these guys. We've seen Roy and Tim in the past work really well, and the gym boys here are doing a good line from Michael as he just finished the first sector. He's got a few cars ahead of him. Traffic is starting to form with Alex there, and there goes Demon as well. So he's just flying through this lap, keeping it nice and clean, not too much traffic to affect him. Schnitzel moves up into second, making it a Renault 2-3 as things currently stand. Jarno as well improving as well, but I think Michael might have a good time on his hands here, taking a great line. Just a little snap of oversteer there, potentially costing him slight time, but he corrected it. A front left lockup of that tyre, and here he comes now through the final sector. He's living it on the edge. The car looks to be a little bit wavy on the exit of corners, a little bit of oversteer available to him there. He's just going to cruise through the final corner, rubbing the curbs, max power into the start finish straight, and he moves up only into P2. Isn't too bad considering that is the fastest time of the soft compound runners.
Definitely so, and only 2 tenths down on the ultra softs that were on Lee Finley's car, so a good lap time there. The Williams boys working in unison. Schnitzel's gone into third, Jarno fourth, Lucas put himself up into fifth as well. Hugo is in sixth position. I get the feeling some of them are already slowing down. Jarno looks like he's going to be able to get round to do another lap. He's actually just completing his out lap, in fact, by the looks of it, because he's got the battery turned pretty much down, so we'll need to keep an eye on him. 10 seconds to go, and at the moment the top 10 are covered by just under 1 second. Jarno's gone for pit lane, so he's going to start no better than fourth in this race, and it looks like his teammate Schnitzel's heading for pit lane as well, because that battery has turned right the way down to 0 as well. Where is your pole sitter Lee Finlay? He is coasting along the back of the track now, so he's not going to improve anything. Danny's retired out of session. Lucas up. Where is Roy? There he is, catching him coming into the Sachs curve. There's quite a lot of drivers back out, probably getting invalidations. Bit of a slide coming out of that right-hander into the final two corners, chucks it in, runs it wide in the curb, uses the exit nicely. Can he get across the line? Is this going to be pole position for the Williams, Roy? Yes, it is. The Williams driver just into pole position, a 1 minute 10.642. It is 1/100th clear of Lee Finley's best time, so that's a good lap from him. And the only other driver capable of setting a lap time is heading for pit lane because everyone else is slowed right down. So that's your standings. Roy steals it at the death. Lee Finley will be starting on the Ultrasofts in second, with Michael in third. Then the two Renault boys, the Schnitzel and Jarno, fourth and fifth. Lucas in sixth. So the top four in the championship are within the top 6 places on the grid. Flying Finn in 7th, Hugo 8th, Casper 9th, Max Till gets 10th position, although if this had been a live stewards in, I'll get the feeling he'd probably be punted to the back of the grid for retiring on track, but that's a different point. Frosty will be 11th, gets the first choice of fresh tyres. Then it's Danny, Demon, Kiski, Davidos, Ruben, Paris, Nicholas Matteo, who was the unfortunate one off that incident with Max, and Alex in the Red Bull will start from the back of the grid. 19 runners will take the lights here at Hockenheim, but it's the Williams boys and it's Roy who is in pole position.
Yeah, doing my number 2 duties well there, saying he's on a flyer, and he was. A great time there from Roy. I was on board with him. He bump drafted Michael. He got every inch of slipstream he potentially could have got, and Michael, being a great teammate, a 1-3 for the Williams drivers there. A great showing. A little bit of angst in the chat between Demon, saying nice job to Ruben with 3 clap emojis. I get the impression a little bit of sarcasm in there. So we'll quickly run you through the classifications one final time. It is Roy from Lee Findlay with Michael in third, Schnitzel's in fourth, with fifth going to Jarno, sixth is Luke, at seventh is the Flying Finn, with Hugo in eighth, ninth is Casper, Max is in 10th, obviously. Controversy there. Frosty is in 11th, Danny 12th, 13th is Demon, 14th Kiski, Davidos 15th, Ruben 16th, Paris 17th, Nicholas in 18th, and the veteran Alex is in 19th place. He'll be the last one to take his position after the formation lap. It's going to be an interesting race. It seems to be quite close. Obviously, Lee Findlay being on the Ultrasofts. It's interesting to see if he can get past Roy nice and early. Because if he would have had pole position, you'd have imagined that he would have cruised, probably would have created a bit of a gap before having to pit a lot earlier than everybody else. So, interesting to see. It could be a nice early battle, but if he has a poor start, it could ruin his entire strategy. So it might be a great race for him, or it could be the complete opposite and he falls from grace and might even find himself out of the point.
It's quite possible. He is the only driver in the top 10 on the ultra soft tyres. Everyone else setting their times on the Yellow Mart soft tyres, and I would expect those outside the top 10 will be on either the yellow softs or the white mediums. So Lee needs to do it all in the first stint. He needs to have the absolute start of his life if he wants to get anything here, because with the DRS up towards turn 6, you got a DRS between turns 1 and 2 as well, and I believe you get one down the front straight also, so there's 3 zones here if I remember rightly, and that can lead to a bit of a DRS train if everybody sticks pretty close together. We've seen it before and there's a good chance we'll see it again. Let's run through the tyres and look at that. Apart from Lee Finlay, who we've just been talking about, outside the top 10 every single driver is on the White Mart medium tyres. They'll be running long into the race, so you do not want to go anywhere, because this race will not be decided early doors, I would imagine, unless there's a huge crash, obviously, which we obviously cross our fingers there is not. But with so many drivers going to be running long, and the fact that all the top 10 except for Lee Finlay are going to be pitting around the same time as well, it's going to be very busy in pit lane and it's going to be very interesting. We're not going to know what's going to be happening until towards the end of this race. Now, me and you, Ollie, I'm sure we can continue it on regardless. We always have a little prediction challenge if you do watch F2. If I remember rightly, you were winning 2-1. I decided to be sporting and not steal a 2-2 last week when you didn't join me, so I thought it'd be fair to do that. Although you're leading, I'm going to give you first choice. Who should we be looking out for then?
Well, the poor sod that gets picked by you is in for a torrid time. I'm going to support my former F2 brethren, the boxing legend himself, once called Dowie. His name is Davidos, down in 15th. I would have gone for a driver who was once called Leafy in Lee Findlay. He needs a strong oak tree-like performance today if he wants to have any chance of picking up some big points today. But I'm going to go for Davidos down in P15. Polish brothers for life. You know, I'm not Polish. Just, you know, supporting Davidos E15.
Brother from another mother and all of that, as they say. I'm going to stick with the F2 theme that we're going with. I'm going to go for the man just behind him, Ruben, who did win here last year in F2 from a similar position outside the top 10. And I'm going to cross my fingers that I don't jinx him, because that's something that I've got a bad habit of doing, obviously. And hope that he can try and repeat that here, because with the medium tyres, if they can stay close enough, who knows what's going to happen here. If you're watching along, thank you for joining us. This is season 17 of Apex Online Racing's F1 2018 League, sponsored by Hype Energy Drinks. It's round 6 from the Hockenheimring in Germany, and the lights are on. And round 6 is underway, and let's see what the starts are like. Looks like Lee Finley's not got a bad one, but look out for the Renault. Schnitzel's already up ahead. Lee's got the jump into turn 1 as we look down the field there. Roy in second, Schnitzel's fighting for third, Lucas is up in fourth. Jarno's gone down a few places very quickly in the opening stages into turn number 2. Plenty of cars side by side through the field, and it looks like there's nearly 3 wide in the background. I know you'll be keeping an eye on that, Ollie, but heading up the Parabolica for the first time, Lee Finley's done exactly what he needs to do and getting ahead and into the lead, but there's a huge train coming through. Roy's having to defend the inside line from Schnitzel. Look at Jarno on the outside there of Lucas. They've gone 3 wide into the hairpin, and Jarno's going to make up a couple of places there because Michael's been pushed aside. Jarno's now got the run on Lucas, heading towards that quick right-hander. Lucas is going to hang around the outside. Who's going to take the position? And Jarno, from being very adventurous there into turn 6, has gained 2 places through that, jumping Lucas and Michael. Michael going back 3 places. Lee Finley still got a car wide in the background, one off the Salbas. That'll be Hugo running wide there, coming through the stadium section for the first time, but Lee has done what he needs and he's already out of DRS range at the moment. 1 second clear of Roy in second. It's Schnitzel and Jarno, the Renault boys, third and fourth, followed by Lucas, Michael, Flying Finn, Danny, Maxtill and Casper rounding out the top 10 as we complete lap 1.
Yeah, looking further down, Casper is pushing Max through the final section, who's run wide at pretty much every single corner. Max is starting to form a little bit of a train, and the guys ahead of him are slowly starting to pull away, but on the early laps just want to keep it nice and clean. I mentioned about Leafy having a strong oak tree-like performance. There was nothing Leafy about that one. It was full power from him off the start, a lightning quick start, and a really good showing from him. Further down the field, a driver once called Doridos had a really good start, a really poor start, but then clawed his way back. In fact, he dropped almost to the back and then comes straight back to the top where he previously was, and now he's onto the back of Demon as well. So some battling at the back end of the field as well, all very, very tight. So hunting down Roy, who is now going to be in serious trouble if he can't get in the DRS range of Lee Findlay, currently leading on the ultra soft tyres. Just overtaking Ruben, and Ruben getting back past him. So it's a great battling further down the field. Interesting to see, though, how long Lee Findlay's tyres will be able to last. It'll be a good judgment for us. He's the only guy on the ultra soft, so it's kind of no man's land for the poor guy.
Definitely so. We've seen Ruben getting by both the Salbas there and holding on. You've seen Casper in the distance as I tried to jump through between the camera angles, getting past on Maxtill, having pushed them along. Ruben's now fancying that. DRS is now enabled, so that's going to assist the drivers obviously coming through the next parts of the lap, and DRS is available in 3 different zones, but I think there's only 2 different detection points down the field. Up the front it's still as you were, no changes since the start. So out of the first 3 laps, Michael losing 3 places, Hugo losing 4. Your biggest gainers, Ruben, is up 5 places, and Danny up 4 places. So they're your biggest gainers in lap number 1, as Ruben now makes it 6 places, going up the inside of Maxtill. Hugo's going to try and go through. That's pushed Ruben very wide as the Force India collected the Ferrari there because of the Sauber. They're going to go side by side through the right hand kink, and the Force India is going to steal that place back, or is he? Because the Spaniard is going to throw it up the inside on the Dutchman here. Side by side still they go, and the Force India now managing to get it back. Ruben's going to run very wide. He's probably going to get a warning for that one. He's going to try and go through. Paris is retired from the race down at the back of the field, and Max holds on to 10th position just now, but there is a train of cars there. Ruben, Hugo, Frosty, Demon, Davidos are all pretty much a line astern coming through that section, and then there's a pass you don't normally see. Ruben with a bump, and then Hugo followed him through, bumped the Force India as well, who's dropping down the field like an absolute stone now. So 3 or 4 places lost in the matter of 1 corner. Ruben got very ambitious there and picks up a penalty to go with it. Chucked it up the inside into the end of second last corner. got the Force India pushed wide. The Red Bull now with Davidos going up the inside of Max Till. It's all kicking off up at the front, but look at the front end, sorry. Down the back it's going off. Up the front, I thought Schnitzel might fancy a lunge on Roy there as he's right behind, and you can see second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and nearly seventh as well are all in the one picture. Hugo and Ruben are fighting again through turn 6. This backhand fight is absolute carnage, Ollie, and I think I can see 3 wide in the background as well with the Red Bull Alex, Kiski and Nicholas coming out. It's just absolutely insanity.
Yeah, I've got a pillow and a nice blanket here for you to have a quick nap handy if you want to have a quick chill after that. Schnitzel is hunting down Roy and he's getting closer and closer, but Roy's keeping the gap at the moment to Lee Findlay at a nice calm level. Coming through the final corner now, I think Schnitzel might have his best opportunity to get onto the rear end of Roy here, who is doing a good job DRS assisting him. You can see the fastest lap starting to pop up. Lucas had one and the Flying Finn has now taken out from him. Oh, carnage! Oh my god! Have you seen that?
Just caught it!
Into the wall. Lee Findlay's crashed into the wall and taken Roy with him. Incredible scenes. Lee Findlay's gone wide at turn 1 and just taken Roy with him. He swept him one to the side. Pure carnage there. And I was riding on board with Schnitzel, and that is incredible. So Schnitzel now leads this Grand Prix, and Roy and Lee, who are leading 1 and 2. Well, I mean, we're not going to find out how long them Ultrasoft tyres are going to work. I mean, they look really nice in the wall at the moment. And that is the end of Roy's Grand Prix. A Grand Prix that promised to have potential race winner written all over it in the first podium of the season. And now, it's a Renault 1-2. Interesting this has got. Great racing and carnage in the early stages.
It was a long camera angle, but we did see it in the background. As you say, it looks like Lee's ran wide and then just lost it on the AstroTurf and the curb and hit the wall back across track. Just, oh, the Roy though, just wrong place, wrong time. Schnitzel, Jano and everyone else managing to avoid the carnage. But Lee Findlay, it's not been the greatest of weeks for Lee. He was in the team event on Thursday, looking good up towards the front, and he ended up with a disconnection, which dropped him out, and he never got back in. So it's been a week from hell, having nearly put it on pole position and now out of this race already. He will not be happy with that. I'll let you try and see if you can see the replay, because it'd be interesting to know what's going on. If you can manage that, would be phenomenal. But it means that Schnitzel leads Jano in second, and they're just about keeping it tidy at the moment. Lucas in third, Michael now the sole, Flying Williams in fourth, Flying Finn up to fifth, Casper in sixth, Danny in seventh, Hugo in 8th, Ruben in 9th, Frosty 10th, and then it's Demon, Davidos, Alex, Kiski, Paris, who's not in his car anymore, I don't think either. Did see a message, he's ghosting as well, so he's not in control of that car either. He's in 15th at the moment, and it's Nicholas Matteo in 17th, Max Till in 18th, and I think Max has already been into pit lane. Let me just quickly check that again. Nicholas Matteo and Max Till have stopped. Matteo is on the soft tyres and Max Till's already gone on to the medium tyres. He must have got some damage, I'm guessing, when Ruben went a bit too sneakily up the inside into the second last corner, and he basically got bumped all the way down the field by everybody else. But absolute carnage into turn 1. No safety car though. Despite all the carnage in the front wings, you can see it there as they drive by on the left hand side. No safety car turning out, and it means on lap 7 of 34 the two Renault boys are looking good at the moment.
Got to say, Andy, that's very disrespectful what you said. You said the word bump, and after what Paul Roy's been through, I mean, he's going to have flashbacks. It's going to be like Vietnam for him. He's not going to be getting over this. So I've reviewed the footage, and I've looked over it, and what's happened is Lee has gone into turn 1. He's gone into turn 1 and he's lost the rear end, corrected it, and gone onto the right hand side, so the inside line's grass. And what's happened is he can't slow the car down, the wheel spin of the rear end, and he's tried to correct it, and what it's done is it's flung his car into a 45-degree angle, straight head-on collision with Roy. There's not much he can do. The car's lost control. It's as harsh as my sound for Roy, it looks like on first viewing it's a racing incident. More to blame, of course, in fact, all to blame for Lee Findlay. But what looks to have happened is he's lost control of the car. There's nothing he can do. He's tried to correct it, and it is a big shame for him. But commiserations to Roy. Unlucky for Lee, who is looking to have a very good race here. But yeah, it's a big shame, but the show must go on. And it looks like now we have a chance for some drivers to pick up their first points of the season. The likes of Demon down there in 11th. It's just shy of the points, and let's hope we can have some really good battles throughout the field still.
Definitely so, and you know, the angle I've had and what it looked like, I would have to tend to agree there. Just Roy, unfortunately, just Wrong place, wrong time with the way the cars flew back out onto track. The penalties are certainly racking up as well. Kieski, the latest one, to get a 3-second time penalty. I know you're doing your best to keep on top of that as well, Ollie, here tonight. But the top 5 have got away from the rest of the field. It's Schnitzel, Jarno, Lucas, Michael, and then Flying Finn. Casper's in 6, 2.5 seconds down on this lead 5, and he's trying to pull away from Danny, who's following him in 7th. Then there's a gap of about 4 seconds to Hugo, who's running kind of in a bit of no man's land. He's got 4 seconds to the car ahead. Ruben's 1.7 behind, trying to close in after the earlier moves going on. He's got in the teammate for the Sauber, Frosty, in behind him. That rounds out the top 10, and then Demon and Davidos pretty close together coming into the stadium section in 11th and 12th. The other Red Bully, Alex, just coming through there in the background in 13th, and then a bit of a gap to Kieski, and then you've got Nicholas Matteo, Maxtel, who have pitted, and Paris, who is not in control of that Toro Rosso at this point in time, so that is no dice for him. Hugo now picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help him later on in the race, and Frosty as well. So the pair of them running wide, both Salvas on the same lap, getting 3 seconds added to their time. Lap 9 of 34 though, and we're now just waiting on the start of the pit stop phase. I'm anticipating within what, about the next maybe 5 to 7 laps, would you say?
Yeah, that's when I'm thinking it will be the first batch of pit stops. I was just checking on the penalties as Danny has made a move on Casper up the inside into the hairpin, and he's got it done, nicely done. Oh, a little bit of oversteer there, but Casper is unable to take advantage. So I was going to mention about penalties and about who had them. And before, obviously, the penalties to Frosty and Hugo, it was only Danny and Ruben who had picked up penalties. In fact, I believe it was Hugo who had picked up 4 seconds worth of time penalties, but hadn't actually received a penalty. I'm just going to double check that. No, sorry, it was Frosty who had picked up 4 warnings but didn't have a penalty, and then on the 5th warning got a penalty. So it may have been for collisions that he was picking up warnings, which is probably a worse sign than anything. So he needs to keep it nice and calm. We've already seen 1 big collision this Grand Prix. We don't want to see any more because we want to keep the racing nice and clean. What this has done is allowed for the remaining drivers of Lucas, Michael, Flying Finn, Jarno and Schnitzel all to start to pull away. Casper was holding, Casper pulled away from Max, who caused one hell of a train. As I mentioned at the start, it looked like he may do. And what that's done is now it's actually pushed Danny a little bit too far back from the remaining pack. So there's a bit of a gap from Flying Finn to Danny, which has allowed this front 5 to pull away. They're not close enough to go for manoeuvres, but what it looks like they're doing at this early stage is all just slowly cruising, just keeping their tyres at a nice safe level, keeping up with the cars ahead. So when we have them later stages where it comes crunch time, we could see some overtaking opportunities. Further down the field, Davidos has got past Demon into P11. We're in that sort of, I wouldn't say dull period, that sort of quiet side where it's a little bit calm before the storm kicks up after the pit stop. So these drivers are just keeping it nice and calm. As you said about pit stops, I'm thinking around about lap 14 to 15 is probably when we're going to see it. You want it as close to the halfway stage as possible, and with the softs and mediums you can probably do that safely.
Definitely so. We did see that move from Davos on Demon as well. Just followed it to turn number 6 at the hairpin. Joe in the chat asking me to show Schnitzel's ERS. Well, there you go, my friend. Not using too much at certain points. He's got about 50% of it at the moment. His teammate's got a little bit more just now. Casper with a 3-second time penalty. That's a bit uncharacteristic of a young Dutchman. He's usually pretty good for not picking them up, but he's obviously pushing it very hard, and there's plenty of areas around here that you can easily pick that up, as Alex is the latest one. That Holly will be frantically scrambling to write these all down somewhere in a notebook, because I'm certainly not going to be able to keep up tonight, not a chance in heck. But yeah, so Schnitzel doing what he needs at the moment. I agree with you. I think the top 5 are just playing it nice and easy, keeping the pace, no need to fight with each other. They're just going to end up ruining their own race, keeping their powder dry, so to speak, until later on in the race when they need it, and just following each other and just setting delta laps, so to speak, well within, so they can just keep things in the track and stay far enough ahead of those behind, which is Danny at the moment in 6th position, 4 seconds down. He's still got Casper just in behind him. And if we look through at the moment, any pit stops from the front end runners drop you in just behind Alex in 13th, I would say. 17 seconds to cover the top 13, and then there's a bit of a gap to Nicholas Matteo in 14th. So any earlier stops at the moment, you're likely to drop in somewhere around the just outskirts of the top 10 just now, but I don't think we're going to see that for a little bit longer yet. I get these feeling these guys will be trying to get another few laps out of these tyres yet. Lap 12 of 34. I can't even get my words out tonight, and it's been all action. We've got a little bit of a quiet period just now, Ollie, as we await the pit stop phase.
Yeah, disappointing there for Schnitzel as he's just coming into the rear end of Paris, his ghosted car, to be unable to pick up DRS. So there'll be a little bit of a shame from him because it may have been an opportunity to pull away, but he's done a really good job of controlling the pace. Michael broke incredibly late into turns 2 and 3, so he was looking a little bit sharp there to try and get close as possible to Lucas to have a good run, but obviously nothing manifested from that. Casper's keeping Danny keen on the soft compound tyres. They're starting to come into a bit of their own at the moment. All of the top running guys have now passed Paris, and now his teammate gets past him as well, so there'll be no assisted DRS for any of the drivers there. They'll just have to do it pure speed of being under 1 second of each other. Danny hasn't gained the gap. Jarno is the first of running guys to come into the pit, I'd imagine, for a set of the medium compound tyres. So he said around lap 14, that's when most of the drivers are going to be coming in. But Jarno knows that his teammate will be coming in on the optimum lap, has to go for something different. Here comes the undercut available to him. For his sake, he's hoping he can get into a bit of a gap. As you mentioned, I think he'll slot in just behind Alex, and there'll be plenty of track for him. He's just going to slot in close to Alex there, so that's actually not ideal. He's going to have to try and get past the veteran in P12 there if he wants to get going. It's not ideal at all. In fact, this midfield sort of back-end pack is actually really costing him if they're going to hold him up for this middle section, considering most of them are on the medium compound tyres. He needs to do as much as he can. But that would then also say if these guys on the mediums are going to be staying out longer, all the guys on the soft compound tyres are going to have to pit. They're going to have to be battling their way through. This could get quite spicy as well, considering Michael and Lucas, how close these guys are as well. Obviously pulled out a bit of the gap because it was Jarno and P2, but this is now getting very, very interesting. These guys are going to exit the pit. Yellow flag can take tied from the session at the rear of the end, rear of the pack. I'm not sure what happened to him, but we'll keep an eye on the pits because no, Snitchell stayed out. Lucas has come in. Staying out as well is Michael. Flying Finn has started into the pits, and Danny has stayed out. So Lucas and Michael have reacted to Jarno's early undercut attempt. That's actually going to put Schnitzel in a bit of a difficult position unless he knows he's got raw pace over his teammate. That could be a dangerous one. Jarno could be in a net lead with the traffic he could be suffering with. We'll keep a close eye on the gaps here because it could be tight.
Could be. I'm just following Jarno here at the moment. As you can see, the cars on the outside. Jarno side by side with Lucas. He's managed to get ahead of Lucas there. So despite not being able to clear Alex on that lap, he's not lost out, at least in terms of the guys who did pit there in Lucas and Flying Finn. He is still ahead of them at the moment. Schnitzel leads 2.2 seconds to Michael in second. Danny up to third. Casper in fourth. Here goes Jarno on Alex. DRS assisted through the parabolica. Easy as you like. Back onto the racing line for the braking zone, and that's Jarno through now up to what is P10 at the moment, but it does mean he is the first runner that has made a pit stop at the moment, and you've got to expect that Schnitzel and Michael will be in on this lap. We've got Fitz there in the chat saying Jarno could get the overcut by Michael due to cold tyres, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Schnitzel's carried on for another lap. Michael has head for pit lane, so he is now in pit lane. Gap's about 16 seconds to Jarno, so I do think Jarno should just get it. It'll be close between Lucas and Flying Finn and Michael though, so that'll be definitely one to keep an eye on as the Williams comes out of pit lane. Medium tyres as expected for all those guys that have pitted so far. Casper and Hugo into pit lane as well, so that's going to mix the field up a little bit more. Schnitzel leads by 6.4 seconds from Danny and Ruben. Lucas with a 3-second time penalty. That could come back later on. And there is Michael, who's just got out ahead of Lucas and Flying Finn, but he's behind Alex, and Lucas has got a great run coming through the parabolica here. DRS assisted for both of them. The McLaren pulls to the right hand side, but Michael's just keeping in the slipstream of Alex. Who's going to go one way? Well, Lucas put it up the inside, free wide into the hairpin, and Lucas is going to make the move sticks. Look at Flying Finn though. Flying Finn now trying to make his way through, and he's got it done as well. So Michael on those colder tyres, it was shouted in the chat, and it has worked for Mike. It's not worked out for Michael. Lucas and Flying Finn get that position there just in the DRS. Lucas got up the inside. They both passed Alex at the same time, and then Flying Finn managed to get his braking right and went, thank you very much, I'll have that as well, and he's through too. Your race leader Schnitzel into pit lane on lap 15 of 34. That's going to release Dan Danny, Ruben, Davidos, Frosty and Demon, all the drivers that started on the medium tyres up into the race lead. So who is now going to be your net race leader? You've got to imagine it might be Jarno or Schnitzel. Should come out. Jarno's stuck behind Demon. Where is Schnitzel? There he is. You can see him just up ahead, and he's managed to stay ahead of Frosty as Jarno puts it up the inside on Demon into turn number 2. But Schnitzel's still out in the net lead of the race, 4th place at the moment, and he's got DRS assist here on Davidos as well as they head up through the Parabolica towards turn number 6 for the 16th time. And despite staying out longer as Schnitzel goes past Davidos there and up into 3rd place in the race, you can see Frosty trying to get by. Jarno's nearly stuck in the middle of all of this, and that's worked out very nicely for Schnitzel. Jarno getting held up means that he's still behind his teammate despite having pitted earlier. That Sauber just cut right across there on Jarno, concentrating Frosty, concentrating on Davidos, not noticing the Jarno coming through behind him, and still the Renault can't get past the Sauber. It is for position. He doesn't need to give the position, obviously. It's not a blue flags, and Jarno's going to have to stick it up the inside into the Sachs curve. Not really an overtaking opportunity, but it's as clean as you like, and he's got it done, and he needed to do that because before long he's going to have company behind. But Schnitzel holds on to the net race lead after the pit stop phase from those that were on the soft tyres. Lap 17 of 34. Danny leads from Ruben, Schnitzel 3rd, Davidos 4th, Jarno in 5th, Frosty in 6th. Flying Finn's just got past Demon into 7th. Lucas has done the same down in 8th. Michael going round the outside of Lucas here into turn number 2. Can he get in the power? He cannot, but he's going to try and get a run now up towards turn 6. That's over 8th and 9th at the moment, with Demon rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, as his fit keeps going here, Michael and Lucas. I was going to mention Flying Finn got past Lucas while all that was going on at the front. Here comes Michael round the outside of the hairpin. Oh, just avoiding the Toro Rosso. Lucas actually turns into him there as he gets a little bit of a lock-up and just crashes into the side of him. Michael will be a little bit disappointed there that he was robbed of that place almost. And obviously earlier on with that overcut almost working out for him, then being overtaken by the 2 guys. If you're Schnitzel, though, you're a big fan of traffic, because what's happened is traffic that's come out has actually helped him a hell of a lot, because Jarno, who was on much warmer tyres, was unable to dispatch the traffic that was holding him up, and this has allowed Schnitzel to get his tyres up to temperature. So we'll probably be feeling around about safe now as he comes onto lap 18. We've just completed the halfway stage. Danny from Ruben and Schnitzel in 3rd. You'd imagine that the 2 Renaults could be looking very tasty for a 1-2 here after Roy's earlier DNF. Stay Frosty has come into the pits, releasing Flying Finn, Lucas and Michael, who are incredibly close. Lucas just onto the gravel there, getting very nervous as the group driver comes into his rear view mirrors at a rapid rate of knots, and McLaren having to defend for all of his work here from the gym driver in the Williams. Here comes the hunting packling. Let's see what Michael's able to do. Both of them have DRS, so this will be pure straight line speed and a little bit of slipstream available to him. Let's see what he's able to do. I don't think he's close enough here. Will Michael go for a late lunge? He is going to go for a late lunge. It's up the inside. He went round the outside last time, didn't get it done. He went up the inside this time and was unable to get it done. Lucas, a veteran defender in these sorts of competitions, and he's really showing his ability this afternoon, trying to go around the outside. Michael, he has to think better of it and backs out, and that is going to go on for a few laps, but you get the impression it's a matter of when, not if, for Michael, currently battling out for P7, which would be a net 4th place with Flying Finn just slightly up the road.
Definitely. So Jarno, you could see we were on board with Michael during that whole process. You could see Jarno got by Davidos up ahead as Danny and Ruben pit, so it's now back to being for the lead of the race. And I've just noticed a comment in the chat from Racer MX. Schnitzel has a 3-second time penalty. Jarno's just picked up one as well, so it's going to be interesting how that all plays out, because I've not been keeping track of it tonight because there's just been too much going on and I'm controlling the cameras. We always do it, whoever's controlling the cameras, the other one does the penalties, is how we usually work it, Ollie. So, but yes, supposedly Schnitzel's got a 3-second penalty as we see Flying Finn making a move on Davidos, who's still to pit yet. Easily done. Lucas is going to go up the inside on the Red Bull driver as well, and Michael's going to try and follow him through. 18 laps on those medium tyres. They'll be starting to go off the cliff, and that's 3 places in 1 corner for Davidos, and I'd expect to see the Red Bull driver into pit lane, no doubt, on this lap. Him and Demon are the only 2 drivers that are still to pit in this Grand Prix so far, having started on the medium tyres. It says Paris hasn't pitted either, but he's not in control of his car. It's a ghost car at the moment, so that's not going to make any difference, as Hugo has got by on Danny. Danny was actually off the track there, so I wonder if there was contact between the two. We did see the yellow flag. We just seen Danny come back onto track. Rubens had to allow him back through. The game must have decided it was an unfair move, and then again Danny's slowing down and letting Rubin through. So strange things going on between those two. Unsure quite what happened as Demon comes into pit lane. Davidos decides to carry on for another lap, which is quite a strange one to see. But it's Schnitzel leading by 2 seconds from Jarno, with Flying Finn in 3rd place, Lucas in 4th, Michael in 5th, Davidos in 6th place but still to pit, Casper 7th, Hugo 8th, Ruben 9th, and Danny in 10th place. And interesting to see Ruben has jumped Danny, obviously through all of that incidents there that we just caught the tail end of, so that's worked out well for the Spaniard against his S2V teammate.
Yeah, a masterclass performance from Schnitzel, I have to say. He's done incredibly well. His tyres are 3 laps fresher than his teammate Jarno and 2 laps fresher than Flying Finn and Lucas, and obviously just 1 lap on Michael, but still the freshest of the guys who started on the softer compound tyres. We'll keep a close eye on Ruben as well, who is on the freshest set of the softer compound tyres, hunting down the chasing pack. Danny has retired from the session. He's out of this Grand Prix. Frosty's going side by side with Alex as well. So, they've made contact in front of the Sauber and the Renault, and that's actually ran into the Mercedes there of Danny's ghost car. So I'm not too sure if there's any damage. So Danny's just retired from the session. He's not crashed out. So a little bit of another retirement, bit of controversy, so to speak. That leaves us with 13 active drivers, with 14 cars out on track, with Paris's car ghosting around as things stand. A pretty poor performance for the old DNS. Obviously a big crash early on, but some sloppy driving out there. Hopefully it's not a recurring theme. You know, having 19 drivers, only 13 finishing on lap 21 of 34 is not ideal. Quickly want to ask you, Andy, who is your pick again for driver to watch?
Ruben.
So going quite well for you.
For once.
Yeah, for once. I wouldn't be too shocked there if Ruben ends up crashing out of this Grand Prix. Davidos has gained 5 places. Ruben has gained 8, so in the comparison. But a lot of drivers who started at the back are picking up some solid places at the moment. For Demon, who is yet to score points in this championship, along with Alex, they'll be praying and hoping that something can go their way. Demon is onto the rear end of Davidos, who's got Nicholas just up the road, who is probably going to be a little bit peed off with earlier incidents that happened with a certain driver who is retired and will be finishing or classifying in 16th position. Speaking of which, Nicholas has gone very wide there, lost the rear end, which has given Davidos a bit of a hoping chance further down there. In fact, Nicholas is really struggling at the moment, with the 2 guys behind him chasing him down at every opportunity. This could get close. Every one of them has made a single stop, but Nicholas obviously pitted in the early stages of 16-lap-old tyres. Is he going to dart into the pits? He can't do so. So it's getting close at the back of the field. It's getting close as well with Michael and Lucas onto Flying Finn. Here comes Lucas battling for P3. Lucas going to go around the inside, of Flying Finn. Then Michael in the background going to be later on the brakes as well. And Flying Finn is going to have a bit of a taste of his own medicine that he dished out to Michael earlier in going for a later manoeuvre to drop him down a place. But can Michael make it stick? He is side by side. No, there goes Flying Finn. Just getting ahead of him. Momentum has favoured him there. Lucas moves up into P3. Flying Finn down to 4th. But I get the distinct impression that these 3 could be battling for quite a while with Giano and maybe Casper.
3 wide, sorry. Wide into the hairpin there, Frosty, Demon and Nicholas Matteo, and it looks like Frosty's going to come out the other side of it. He's still fighting with Demon there. Davidos got by on DRS, and then they went 3 wide into the hairpin, and the Mercedes is struggling at the moment, and how they never made contact I don't know. Good driving from them all, but yeah, Lucas getting through on Flying Finn. Finn able to hold off the advances of Michael, and straight away Lucas putting in the fastest lap of the race as well. Yellow flag in sector 3, and it is Nicholas who's off again, coming into the stadium section. Looks like there might be a little bit of front wing damage, hard to tell. I would not be surprised to see him pull into pit lane and retire from the race. Just real quickly, I know at this time of the night the viewing figures sort of move a little bit as drivers go off to start their races at 8 o'clock. To everyone else racing tonight, best of luck here this evening, and I hope it's a good race for you all. But we've still got, well, what's that, about 12 laps including the one we're on to go in this race, Ollie, and there's still plenty of action action through the field as Nicholas has retired out of the session. No surprises there. So we're down to 12 drivers now because Paris in 13th is not in control of that car. Frosty up the inside and Davidos. Davidos going to try and sneak back and see if he can get anything done, but Frosty's got the move done there, and that is him now up into 9th place. His next target is Ruben, who's on a slightly fresher set of tyres, 7 seconds up the road, so it could be a long way to go to catch up there. But someone, Racer MX again, mentioned in the chat asking if Flying Finn has any penalties. Now we know Schnitzel, according to the chat, we know Jarno certainly does, and I certainly know Lucas has picked up a 3-second time penalty, but I haven't seen anything for Finn.
Like a rundown?
Please, yes, let's have a penalty rundown with Ollie.
The penalty rundown. Yeah, get the theme tune running, boys. Welcome to the penalty rundown with your host Ollie. I'm going to be quickly running you through every penalty that actually matters. So I won't be telling you that, say for example, Lee Findlay has a penalty, because I don't really think that has much of an important effect. We have a virtual safety car as well. We should mention that. That's why the drivers are starting to slow down. It's not just because they're bored. No, they're just slowing down. So the penalty watch, as things currently stand, Schnitzel has a 3-second tyre penalty, as mentioned. Jarno also has a 3-second tyre penalty. Lucas has a 3-second time penalty. Flying Finn does not have a 3-second time penalty, so as mentioned, he is an outsider. He does, however, have 3 warnings, which makes you think it's probably 1 for collision, 2 for corner cutting, so he is 1 corner cutting warning away from a 3-second time penalty. For Michael, he is also on 3 warnings, which gives you the distinct impression he is on a similar situation to the Flying Finn as well. Quickly want to mention as well, if you've got a big shout out for the guys further down with Frosty, Davidos and the Blackpool-based Demon, all battling it out very, very nicely. In fact, Davidos promoted from F2, Demon was promoted from F3 last season, the F3 champion. So some great racing there from guys who have obviously got different experiences throughout the last few seasons. Obviously Demon quite heavily involved in the background as well, but great racing as we like to see. Jarno has lost out dramatically in that virtual safety car restart, so much so that Lucas is piling on the pressure in the background. Here comes Lucas in the McLaren. He's later on the brakes, so Renault tries to react and go late as well. He's not gone for a smart manoeuvre. He's tried to hang it around the outside, probably been better off going for the switchback, and Jarno is going to have to concede the place, and that is a Renault 1-2 out of the window. What this has allowed now is for the guys to start to catch up on Schnitzel, with Flying Finn and Michael going to be the 2 who are most keen on the gaps that are picked up. If it's a 3-second time penalty, could be quite close.
Well, definitely so. I mean, if we look at it at the moment, Flying Finn is 3.6 seconds down on the lead, and all 3 ahead of him have a 3-second time penalty. So that is definitely going to be a fun one to keep an eye on and see what is going on later on in the race. But the more that these guys are held in there, we know Schnitzel is very good on the tyres, he's very good at keeping the pace as well. He's shown that through the season already, picking up, as I say, 4 podiums out of 5 races. He's currently on for 5 out of 6, and maybe, just maybe, his 3rd victory of the season as well. But if these guys keep fighting, it's always going to cost them some time. They need to use each other quite strategically if they want to catch up to the race leader, and Flying Finn will certainly be hoping for that, as long as he can avoid picking up any penalties with those warnings that he's already got. But Lucas got by the last time by Jarno, unable to repay the favour, and you can see Michael just in behind there with the best seat in the house. Fastest lap of the race is Lucas, a 1 minute 13.555. Trying to work my way out, it's only a 10th quicker roughly than Flying Finn. I can't see anything else closer than that, so that's probably going to be the final fastest lap as the tyres wear down towards the end of the race. But we'll need to get up, well, just as I speak, Alex on a set of fresh soft tyres has decided to show me up on that one. Well, 1 minute 13.356 down in 12th place. We'll see if he can do anything to catch up to the back of those, the likes of Demon and Davidos, but he's got a long way to go to do that, so it's going to be a long one before that happens. Unfortunately, lap 27 to 34. If you've been watching along as we come into this late stage of the race, let us know who you think your driver of the day is. Me and Ollie will give our thoughts after the checkered flag as well, and do stick around. We'll try and see if we can get a couple of drivers in to have a wee chat with us as well. But 27 of 34, Schnitzel 2.8 from Lucas, Jarno, Finn and Michael, and they're all pretty much the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th nose to tail, as it's pretty much been for the entire race.
Yeah, Jarno and Michael really struggled with tyre temperatures on the virtual safety car restart. They dropped back dramatically, and that's why Jarno has been caught up by Lucas. All this is playing into the favour currently of Schnitzel, who leads this Grand Prix. He has a 7/10 gap to Flying Finn, who is yet to pick up a time penalty. So if Flying Finn can get past, you'd presume he'd have to get past Lucas, which is easier said than done, considering Jarno as well is battling. And the more these guys battle, the more Schnitzel can save and the more he can pull away. And he's on the freshest compound tyres of the lot at the moment, so you get the distinct impression it's going to be tough. It's 3.9 seconds now, so yeah, Schnitzel is starting to pull away from the trailing pack, and he's going to have Michael on his rear end as well to add in misery there. So if Michael can get past Flying Finn, he would then become the one who is most likely to challenge. It could all change though. If Schnitzel picks up another time penalty, then it's completely changed, because then it's all eyes on Lucas and Jarno, who have time penalties, and then if Flying Finn and Michael can keep it clean and not pick up a single warning until the end of this Grand Prix, it's going to be tough, considering these tyres are going to wear down at a dramatic rate of knots. Here comes Jarno on Lucas, getting a good drag down the straight now. See what he's able to do, can't brake later than the McLaren. They're all starting to bunch up. Michael's given the Toro Rosso a little bit of a bump there through the hairpin. Nice and tight between the top guys as things currently stand. In the background you can see Casper. Poor Casper is in no man's land. I reckon he'd like to have some stream time, so to speak, to make his parents proud. If you're not aware, his parents are big supporters of him, watch the streams and do cheer on their child very, very passionately and vigorously. So if they are watching along, welcome to them, and I hope you're enjoying your son's performance at the moment in P6, doing a solid job. Further down, no real close battles. Demon has dropped a little bit on Davidos, so isn't close enough to really challenge him, to just around about 2 seconds, and Davidos is not close to Frosty, so it is just the top guys at the moment of Lucas, Jarno, Finn and Michael who are going to be causing this late drama in this Grand Prix. The worst case scenario now for these guys would be a penalty. One more penalty and you're looking at 5th place is probably where you're going to be finishing, unless Casper really picks up some pace, which he seems to be doing. It's gone from about 6.5 to 5.6, so he is starting to gain a little bit, but not quick enough at the moment, I would say. But here comes Jarno one more time on Lucas. I don't think he's going to be close enough, so it looks like they're all just starting to get into cruise mode at the moment, seeing this out to the very end of the Grand Prix.
Definitely so, and you know, it can easily change very quickly, as you say. Last week in F2 and at Silverstone, Nolan was winning that race. He had 8 seconds of penalties, but he had an 8-second gap, started the last lap, ran wide and picked up another 3-second penalty and chucked the victory away and ended up in 3rd at the end of it. So it can all happen. That was on the final lap of the race when it looked like he had got it under control, so it can change very, very quickly. And you know, Flying Finn, Michael especially, with no penalties just yet, will be wanting to keep it as clean as possible, but obviously they'll be wanting to stick to the back of Jarno and Lucas as well, because if they don't, then they're going to drop behind. Schnitzel still got that 2.8 second gap over this chasing pack, down to 5th, as you say. Casper in 6th position, a bit in no man's land, but he's proven himself to, at the moment, in terms of the points for certain, to be the best promotee from season 16. He's obviously on 29 points up there, tied for I believe 6th place, if I can read my own handwriting, which usually I cannot. Jarno, I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think, Ollie, I think these guys are just kind of getting an idea of what each can do. Flying Finn looks good under the brakes going into that hairpin a little bit as well. Lucas maybe not quite as much as Jarno, but I think they're just taking it easy at the moment, waiting for these last couple of laps, and then we could see absolute all hell break loose as everybody tries everything in the last couple of laps of the race. And as you say, at the moment, if we look at the gap, Flying Finn, it's 3.7, so it's kind of stabilised around that sort of 3.5 second region, and it's still possible at the moment if he, if he can just keep close enough. You never know what can happen up ahead, but I get the feeling Jarno is trying his absolute darndest to get up to Lucas. Lap 31 of 34. Michael is right on the back of Finn though, as they come up through turn 1 and up towards turn 2, but just had to back off there through turn 1, and he's going to have to back out of his ERS as well, because he's nearly empty on that, and I don't think he'll be planning an attack anytime soon at the moment, and just going to be taking it easy, I think, for this next lap. We could see fireworks next time by though.
Yeah, quickly important notice for the back end of the field when it comes to penalties. Davidos has no penalties, Demon does have penalties, so there won't be anything gained there. But importantly, could be that Stay Frosty has 2 3-second time penalties. So there is potential if Demon can maybe get in with a 3-second gap in Frosty that he could be in with a chance, which he currently is. It's just around 3.6, so it's close for him to pick up his first points of the season for Alex. Season.
It's easy for you to say.
For Alex, there's no chance. 32 seconds back, so he is all but out of it. Ruben's battling with Hugo for P7 at the moment. Soft compound tyres versus the medium compound tyres, keeping a nice close battle. If you are watching along live, obviously we've had a few people jump in and out as they take part in their races. Other streams begin close between Ruben and Hugo. I reckon he's going to get that manoeuvre done on this lap. He's become very close to the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. It's absolutely flew by. A quick mention, please put down your driver of the day down below me, and Andy will of course mention who ours was. We'll try and get the drivers in. I'm not sure if they're used to post-race interviews. Obviously, we do it F2 style. We love to get the interaction with our drivers. We've had some icons along the years, Sean and Casper, Lee Findlay as well.
Ruben's just bumped into the back of Frosty there into turn number 2, locked the brakes up into the back of the Salba. He's right behind him though, got DRS now. He should be able to make this pretty much a slam dunk. Hugo's going to the inside. Ruben's going to have the outside in the racing line on the brakes. Can the Salba hold on to the position? Ruben's going to try and switch back and get on the power quicker. Can he make it work on the run down towards turn 7, the right hand kink before the Mercedes grandstand section? And Frosty's holding on round the outside and he's kept that position. Ruben getting a bit late in the brakes and bumped into the back of the Salba, so he'll be trying to get by a bit more cleaner soon. You do think though at the moment he seems a bit quicker than the Salba, and if he can get a clean move he should be able to keep that position pretty nicely. Unsure what penalties are for those guys though, but we're now on to, oh, Jarno, he just caught it there as we switched back. He ran wide in turn 1. That's now 6 seconds of time penalties. That's going to completely eliminate him out of finishing on the podium unless something really drastic happens. So that's knocked him away, and he might maybe just fancy trying to upset Lucas here and make sure that Schnitzel can keep the victory maybe. Here he goes, he's really close, closing in very quickly. Lucas goes to the inside, outside, late in the brakes, goes Jarno, a little bit of a touch, Flying Finn and Michael side by side in the background, and Jarno's got that move done and Michael's got the move done, and Finn as well. So that is 2 moves into the one corner, Lucas and Flying Finn going backwards quickly, and I think Jarno might now, because he's got those penalties, play a bit of a blocking game for his teammate. Ruben and Frosty fighting at the hairpin again and again. Frosty holds on to it coming down to the grandstand section. I'm going to jump back and forward between them as much as I can do, side by side. Go to Ferrari and the Salba. Ruben with a switchback, he tries to go up the inside but unable to make that move stick at the moment. It is going to be Schnitzel who wins because he's got 3.5 seconds over Lucas, who's obviously got a penalty as well. Flying Finn's dropped off, so Jarno making that move has just helped to open the gap slightly for Schnitzel as we go on to the final lap of the race here at Hockenheim. And it'll be interesting to see, looking through the chat, the only person putting driver of the day is Lickle, or I even know who you are, mate, I'm sorry. He thinks it's Flying Finn in 5th position. No penalties is always someone I like to give a shout out to, obviously. Michael though, fancying a look, he's got box office seat, as you can see. Jarno going completely to the right hand side of the track to defend from Lucas, and they go side by side. Jarno, oh, bump there by Michael, who's going across the curb in a little bit and the grass to get the move done, contacting a bit of bumper cars between them as they come back down, and Lucas holds on to 3rd position coming down to the Mercedes grandstand section. You've got to think, unless it is going to be a late lunge into the Sachs curve, that's going to be all she wrote really. But coming into the stadium section for the final time comes Schnitzel in the Renault, and it's going to be victory number 3 for the season, and a 5th podium in 6 races for the Austrian, coming through the final couple of corners just now in his Renault. He's got a penalty, but it's going to be enough to keep the rest behind, and Schnitzel wins the German Grand Prix. He crosses the line first. Jarno's going to cross in 2nd, but it's going to be Lucas, it's going to be Michael actually, it goes into 2nd there. Flying Finn in 3rd. Lucas drops out to 4th because of penalties. Jarno drops to 5th. Casper crosses the line in 6th position. We're looking for Hugo and Ruben, who are still fighting their way through the back end of the lap here. Hugo holds on to 7th. That's a good defensive drive from him, well done, because Ruben was looking very quick there. Ruben in 8th, Frosty in 9th, and Davidos is going to round out the top 10, and he jumps up to 9th actually due to penalties for Frosty. So Davidos takes 9th, Frosty 10th, Demon in 11th. Alex will be the last one to cross the line in 12th, Paris 2 laps down in 13th, is not in control of the car. But Schnitzel done what he needed there. A little bit of help with Jarno getting by Lucas just helped to increase the gap just enough, and Schnitzel wins the German Grand Prix by 1.6 seconds from Michael in second. Flying Finn in third is your podium, then Lucas, Jarno, Casper, Hugo, Ruben, Davidos and Frosty rounding out the top 10. Brilliant race though, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, great race there. For my driver of the day, I've got to quickly give a mention. I'm going to give it to Lee Findlay. I think it was an excellent performance from him. I've never seen such a fine performance from him. I've never seen somebody cover and cut that grass as finely as he did there. But yeah, great race, as you mentioned. Demon, sadly for him, missing out on points by 1.1 second, kind of summing up his season here. Looks like it may be a pointless season for him. Not in that way, but 0 points on the board. But the congratulations go to Schnitzel, who wins the Grand Prix. Commiserations though do go out to Roy, Lee Findlay. I think Jarno deserves some commiserations. He's done very, very well. Actual driver of the day, I think it'd be hard to say otherwise compared to Schnitzel. He's had a great showing. But we'll run you through classifications one final time. Schnitzel wins from Michael in second, with the Flying Finn in third. Fourth is Lucas, and fifth is Jarno. Casper makes it a Dutch 5-6. Or third row in P6. Seventh goes to Hugo. Eighth is Ruben. Ninth is Davidos. Frosty goes 10th after picking up penalties for Demon in 11th. The veteran Alex is in 12th, with Paris's ghost car coming home in 13th. Recorded DNFs go to Nicholas, Danny, Max, Kieski, and obviously after that early lap 4 crazy crash between Lee Findlay and Roy, they are at the foot of the classifications. We're now going to quickly try and get the drivers in for the interviews. It's probably unlikely they will do because it's not a regular occurrence on F1's side of the PS4, but we'll do our best to get them in.
We'll give it a try indeed. Shout to Michael, Flying Finn and Davidos, the only drivers not to pick up any penalties. You know, I quite like to give a shout to drivers there not picking up penalties, and they're the only 3 to have done so. Paris technically didn't, but he wasn't in control from about lap 5, so sorry mate, doesn't count. Really good race, but I think Schnitzel he controlled it very, very well. Great job there from him. He helped a little bit with Jarno getting by Lucas with 2 laps to go. Just kind of made the gap a wee bit more safer for him. But some great running down the field. I'm happy because Ruben beat Davidos, which means we're now 2-2 in our little prediction. I'm not. It counts. We've done it anyway, right? It's 2-2. Damn it. But this is the point where with no Flying Fins in, this is where if you don't watch F2, you should be. Come join us next week. Ollie does some interviews while I do some maths, so I'll be back with you in a bit.
Yeah, Andy loves doing maths, whereas I prefer to talk. So we'll wait and see if we've got a potential opportunity to talk to the race winner and the man in second place. But we're going to talk to a man who got quite a few people's driver of the day performances to begin with. Flying Finn, a great showing for you today. It looked like there was potential for you to win the Grand Prix when there was penalties to others, but a great show nonetheless to get yourself on the podium.
Yeah, it was indeed. The pace was good, but in the end the tires died off, so that didn't go so well. The people broke early in the hairpin, so I was struggling there. This is also my first interview, so it's kind of messy here.
No worries. I do want to quickly ask you though, the incident with Roy and with Roy and Lee Findlay kind of changed the dynamic of the Grand Prix. I'm not sure if you got a good view of what happened, but what was your thoughts when the incident did occur?
Well, I was of course happy because 2 free places, always welcome. But I didn't see it. I didn't see the incident. I just saw 2 cars off the track.
Well, congratulations on P3, a great showing from you. We are joined by the race winner and picking up his 3rd victory of the season, the man formerly known. He's had many gamer tags. I called him Dom a few times, but well, I don't know what we'll call you, Schnitzel. But I've known you as Dom for a fair few seasons in different categories and whatnot. But a great win for you, a dominant performance. Pardon the pun. It was a very clean race for you. But it could have been so much different with the early incidents involving Roy and Lee Findlay. It could have been a much tougher race.
Yeah, first of all, you can call me whatever you like, whatever you feel comfortable with. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought as well. Like, I was just I was basically getting ready to just sit behind the two Williams cars, and then somehow I got a pretty good start. Was able to pass Michael pretty soon. Then I was just ready to follow Roy all the way through the first stop. And yeah, at first I was like, what's the Haas doing up there? And then I realized he's out of control, and next thing I know, he took Roy with him, which was a great shame because he would have been in the fight for this win easily. And as you said, it would have made things a lot tougher, I reckon. Yeah, from that point on, yeah.
Definitely, no, you can continue.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wasn't sure when to pit. I had in mind something between lap 11 and 16 or something, or 15 rather. And then I was just waiting on what everyone else behind me was doing because I usually tend to stop quite late to have fresher tires for the end, which in this instance worked out quite well because I saw all the other guys behind me coming out in traffic. So I was originally planning to come in on lap 14, but I was not sure about that because if I would have come in on that lap, Michael would have come in as well and would have held me up in the pits probably. So I had to hold it for another lap.
Well, yeah, you mentioned the traffic. It was quite an important moment in the race because I think myself and Andy, we did mention that you really did, get, I wouldn't say lucky, but very fortunate with the fact the traffic came out when your tyres were much colder compared to Jarno and Lucas, who were much, much quicker, but held up by the slower cars of Demon and Davidos.
Yeah, hand on heart, I didn't have any sort of pace this race, but I don't know how I pulled that off. I guess just doing lucky decisions and somewhat smart decisions. But yeah, from that point, I was lucky that, or I was quite happy to have two cars between myself and Jarno and the whole train behind him. So I knew that I had at least one lap where I could get back into the rhythm of things. And one thing to keep in mind as well all the time was the penalty situation, because I was constantly asking how many penalties the guys behind me had. I only knew about Jarno and Lucas, they had one time penalty each. I didn't know about Michael and Finn, but I was assuming they didn't have any. So I always, I was always on the verge of getting my second one, but yeah, luckily I managed to pull through without getting another one, which of course secured the victory in the end.
Well, yeah, congratulations on a fantastic performance. I've got one final question. Round 6 has now been completed. We're in the final home straight of the shortened season, just 4 races to go. You have yourself a nice gap to Lucas and your teammate who are just behind you. Is your sights firmly set now on the championship?
I mean, I would be happy to win it, of course, but yeah, I just had this approach to take it race by race and yeah, just getting the maximum out of each race without really trying to make any wonders happen, which is what I did today pretty much, just holding back and going all out when I had to, which is an approach that helped me quite a lot recently, where I could have fought for the win in China as well maybe, but I was still lucky to take B2 home as well. Yeah. Back to your question, I'm just looking to get the best result out of every race, and if it's enough at the end, of course, I'm happy about it.
Well, congratulations on a great Grand Prix victory. That is your 3rd win of the season, and that is now an impressive 5 podiums out of 6 potential races. The only one you didn't pick up a podium is probably the one you probably would have wanted to pick that podium up the most at your home Grand Prix in Austria. So we'll quickly hand over to Andy, who's done some quick fire maths to round up the championship after a pretty chaotic German Grand Prix.
Definitely so. Fantastic racers. Just saying your congratulations to all of the top 3 as well. And obviously that means that Schnitzel increases his lead in the championship standings. He's now on 121 points, with Lucas still in second but on 95. So nice little gap building there. I've not done that maths though, because you just caught me as I was finishing at the end. Jarno is still in third on 85 points. Michael still fourth on 68. But behind that, there is a wee change. Casper's jumped up 2 places now. He's 6th place today, so he's now on 37 points. Danny is down 1 place in 6th, he's on 33. Royce in 7th on 29. Frosty moves up 2 places to tie for 8th with Nico on 27. And Lee Finlay rounds out the top 10 on 26. In the Constructors' Championship, Renault break over the 200 point barrier before anyone else has broke over 100. That's how dominant these two boys have been in Schnitzel and Jarno this season. There's been absolutely phenomenal consistency. 206 points. McLaren in second on 90. Williams in second on 97. I can't read my own writing. 2 points clear of McLaren, who dropped to third on 95. Haas move up to fourth on 63, with Mercedes down to fifth on 60. Salba in seventh on 38. Toro Rosso, thanks to Flying Finn's third place, now jump up to seventh place ahead of Ferrari, 24 to 17. Red Bull in ninth on 4 points, and Force India at the back still on just one single solitary point. That is it for this evening's proceedings on F1. For myself, Andy, for Ollie, for all the drivers involved, and everyone involved at Apex Online Racing, we hope you've enjoyed your Sunday night's worth of entertainment here tonight. But until next time, we will see you again soon. Until then, ta-ra.